Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? Is everything clear? I want to be sure the speaker's clear because the last time it wasn't as clear as I wanted it. Okay, well, I think it is clear right now, so I'm about ready to get going. Let me just see one little thing here very quickly. There we are. Okay, I think in a moment we're going to be able to say hello, which is always very nice to be able to say hello, everybody. How you doing? There we are, ready to get going on another lovely day, another seminar, webinar, seminar, whatever you want to call it. And essentially, today's webinar is about processes and the culture in your company. And when I talk about processes and culture, you might say, well, what do the two things have to do? Well, they do, because processes is really a system on how you do things. And you can systematize anything you want. It can be from even how do you fold a shirt to computer systems. The system is just a series of steps that is repeatable time after time after time. Now, the culture in your company is really the way we treat each other, we treat ourselves, and the environment per se. Now, that environment is very important. Why? Because it has to do with engagement. Are our employees engaged? Are they engaged in our goals? Or is it just, don't ask me, I just work here? Have you ever heard that before? Somebody asks you a question. I don't know. I just work here. Wow, that's really not something you want to hear. Okay. So engaged employees will help the organization be successful. And that's what we're looking for. Okay. So now we're ready to get going. I want to see if I can get the program up. Well, let's see. Where did it go? There we are. I hope. There we are. Okay. So we're ready to go. And as I said just a moment ago, it's processes and cultures in your company, and that's the important step. And when we look at an objective plan, an integrated plan within your company, you've got basically three items that integrate and bounce around. You have people and conduct. How do people behave? How do they behave amongst each other? How do they behave with their boss? How do they behave with their subordinates, their peers, their clients? Okay, so people and conduct. We have the processes. How do we do different things? How do we address a consumer, our other employees, however the case may be? And then we have tools that could be as simple as, a hammer and a nail to computer programs. Okay, so when we look at processes and operations, what we're really thinking about operations is how are we creating value? Value for who? It's for the client, your customer. What is the value for them to buy something from you? Right now, there's a company that's booming and is hiring, gee whiz, over 100,000 people now. It's called Instacart. And what are they doing? Are they creating value? Golly, if you're at home and you don't feel comfortable going to the supermarket, all you have to do is go online and they'll bring it to you. Wow, that's a tremendous value, especially if you're not comfortable. They existed before this crisis. Why? Because some people are busy working. They can order the stuff before they get home. They get home and it's right there. So that's really cool, which has to do with innovation. This didn't exist so much before. And we got to talk about routines and capabilities. Routines is something you're going to do periodically, over and over and over. It's a routine. You're used to doing things a certain way, and you get better and better and better at it. What happens when you get better at it? There's something called a learning curve. Learning curve because you learn how to do something. You want to assemble stuff. The first time you assemble something is a little bit difficult. The second time it's easier. The third time it's easier. After a bunch of times, you can do it with your eyes closed, okay? Competitiveness. Why competitiveness? In one of our first webinars, we talked about competitive strategies. And Michael Porter, who's the genius of strategic planning at Harvard, he basically says to talk about strategies is meaningless unless we talk about competitive strategies. Who are you up against? What is your unique positioning? What makes you valued more than somebody else? Does Instacart compete against anybody? I really have no idea. It was a creation. Was it a good idea? Think about it. It's not a great, well, what's so great about it? Guess what? It is great. Why? Because you can be home, put it on your computer what you want, you click it away, you tell them you want a delivery, and then bingo, it comes. That's cool. Okay, great. And we'll talk about the vision. The vision is, where do I want to take my company? What do I want to be in a few years? So very often when we talk about processes and operations, very often people think about manufacturing. But no, it encompasses so much more. Even something as simple as Instacart, something as simple as Uber, or something extremely complicated like I don't know, like a computer programming system of some kind. Okay, so they're all different about it. Now, when we're talking about the key concepts of what we're trying to accomplish as we go forward, they're two very different words: effectiveness and efficient. Okay, a lot of what we talk about in business, we use military terms. All right, so what can we do to achieve our key objectives? If we're in the military, we could say, oh, you know what? I want to conquer that mountain. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to get the artillery and bang, bang, bang. I'm going to have rockets going in. I'm going to have airplanes coming, dropping bombs, and a million people charging up. Will we conquer the mountain? Yeah. Is it effective? Yeah, get it done. The question is it efficient? Which is the next question. How can we meet our operational objectives efficiently? Maybe the best thing to conquer that mountain would have been to get one sniper to go up the mountain, take aim at Goliath, like David did, and one shot, boom, the leader's gone. Is that efficient? Yeah. Is that effective? Yeah. But you see, effective is not always efficient. All right. So that's the key point. We have to look at how effective we are and how efficient we are, how productive we are. And that gets down to the competitiveness. Remember, we're not alone. Even if we have the only idea, like I said a moment ago, Instacart, I don't know if there's a competitor to them, okay? But guess what? If they're making money, somebody will copy the idea and try and be better than them. So you will have eventually competition. It's very, very difficult for you to be a monopoly. Rockefellers was Standard Oil way back when. They were a monopoly, but today, very few monopolies are out there. But guess what? Is Google a monopoly? Is Facebook a monopoly? All these things are becoming massive corporations. But you and I, we're not going to own those massive corporations unless they own shares. We're shareholders. We could be. But are we going to own that company? No. So we're talking about small, medium enterprises. We got to see, how are we going to be effective and efficient? And when we talk about competitiveness, how do we create products and services that customers value and they value better than our competition? Okay, it's always boiled down to competition. So let's look at what kind of things are we trying to do when we want to produce and we want to make something. We're going to have manufacturing if we're producing a product. If we're producing a service, we'll have some other problems. We're going to have suppliers. We're going to be able to provide the raw materials, the things. If you want to have, for example, a restaurant, you're making food, you're going to have suppliers. You need to know how to make the food effectively and efficiently. You have human resources. You're going to have chefs and waiters and everybody else. You're going to have to manage those people. You're going to have financial management. Oh, let's buy tons of bread. That's really great. 3 days later, it's all rotten and moldy. Got to watch our cash flow. We got to look at our inventory levels, which is the inventory management. Our information systems. Today, when you look at the average restaurant that is using different POS systems, those basic point of service systems, they have everything down to a science. Why? Because you need to know your cost of goods. So you can know your selling price. You need to know your profitability. You need to know what are you going to push, what are you not going to push. When you go into a restaurant, why do they ask you, would you like something to drink? Oh, you want sparkling water? No, thank you. I'll take Suarez bottled water, straight from the tap. Oh, wait, what's wrong? Guess what? Tap water in Miami is not bad. But how many people go and they say, oh, give me a soda water and they'll give you something from God knows where. And what's the markup on that? What's the markup on a soda? They take you a little glass of Coca-Cola. How much are they going to charge you? $5. What's it cost them? 25 cents. That's really good for them, okay? Scheduling. Scheduling is really important. You order a pizza in a restaurant, okay, you got to wait for them to go out and buy the flour and the cheese and somewhere else, and 3 days later bring it to you? No, 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 no. You want it right away. So scheduling, marketing and sales. How do we get it in there? How do I process the order? How do I deliver and receive? Okay, Instacart, how do they process the order? You go at home, you say, I want 2 dozen eggs, this, that, the other, you press go, and they're going to deliver it tomorrow. How does that order get processed? How do they sequence it out so you get delivered in time? So you see what I'm talking about? All these things are part of the processes to get our management going. So what we're looking at, that we got to look at processes to produce and distribute products. I'm sorry, it's in Spanish, E. That's why I didn't even catch it right now. Products and services, okay? Why and services? Listen, I sell insurance. I think there's no surprise. You know that, okay? Is that a service? You better believe it. Are you going to get the insurance money? No, your heirs will, okay? The people who delivered the Instacart today in my house, what did they bring to me? Ah, some stuff from I think it was from CVS. Okay, cool. But the product, is that what they really brought? No, they did the service for me, okay? So we got to look at different things. We have to look at the marketing and our sales. How do we get our unique selling proposition out there? What is our marketing program so people can easily get to our product? How do we get the trial? How do we get, first of all, how do we get the awareness, the trial, and all these other areas we talked about? What kind of technology do we need? Are we just making shoes and we're sewing them by hand, very handmade? How cute, okay? Don't know what kind of human resources we're going to have. What are the metrics and controls? Meaning, what are the standards that we anticipate? Do we anticipate making 3 shoes an hour? Well, that would really be cool. So it takes 2 hours to have 3 pair. Got to think about that, okay? What is our planning process going forward? Because very few companies are 100% independent. Okay, very few of them. Why do I say 100% independent? Because they have suppliers, they have customers, they have clients, they have somebody on the outside that they have to interrelate with somehow, okay? And then we have the value chain. What's called the value chain, meaning today I had corn chips delivered to me by Instacart, who got them at CVS, who bought them from Frito-Lay, who had them made in Waco, Texas, which made from corn that came from Idaho and had other products. I mean, look at the different processes to me to get a bag of Fritos delivered to my house. Is there a value chain in there? Yeah, there's a whole continuous chain of what's going on. Where do you fit in that chain of processes that you're trying to do? Are you the farmer or are you providing the service to get me the Fritos to my house? Imagine that. It sounds very simple, but it isn't. And that's what you've heard a lot right now with this huge crisis going on. You hear the advertising about the supply chain. Publix is saying their supply chains are great. Oh, really? Go in and look at how many empty shelves there are. There's all these issues going on because demand suddenly exploded. Is it demand? No, it's fear, it's hoarding. People are not suddenly using more toilet paper today than they did 4 months ago. But guess what? People are hoarding it, they're buying it. Huge surge in all this sort of product. So that's the issue we got to talk about. Now, when we talk about processes, I want to take this to a very simple program. Okay? And this is some lady who has a little laundry business close to our house. Okay? I took a picture of her, cute lady there, how nice. Okay? And she has a process that she trains her employees on. So I'm talking about a very simple process. And what are the sub processes that she has to get a shirt cleaned? First of all, she tells her people, greet the customer when they walk in. Good morning. If you know their name, good morning, Mr. Bull. You want the storefront to look orderly. You want to look professional. Does she look neat and clean and professional? Yeah. She's smiling? Yeah. Do you feel comfortable you walk in there? Yeah. How may I help you today? Is there anything else I can help you with? Oh, I want the shirt laundered and folded. Okay, cool. Oh, the next question. Would you like starch, light starch, heavy starch, no starch? You want it folded or whatever? And here's how you, in this case, let's say we prepay. Could be. Okay? And then what I want to do, I want to be sure that, guess what? I got a guarantee that if you put this in by 9 in the morning, I'll have it to you by 4. Not too bad. Okay? Within the same day or the very next day, whatever the case may be. Can I text and email you what I'm going to do there? It's interesting. How do we do it? Let's go a little bit more, okay? When the person's ready to leave, you say, listen, we're going to have this for you by Wednesday after 5. Okay, well, today's Thursday. It's kind of a long time from now. But what if you told me I'll have it to you Saturday by 4? Today's Thursday, sorry, by 4. So that's good, okay? But if you want it by tomorrow, I can get it to you. But it's going to cost you a little bit more because I have to run, okay? But it's guaranteed. And guess what? If I don't make my time, the next 10 shirts are going to be free. I'm going to guarantee you. Okay, thank you very much. Then you got to thank the customer. get an email or text message confirmation, reminder, whatever you want to have. You set that up. And then I'm going to get the shirt and I'm going to put that little barcode on it. You see that little thing, they can clip it on, great. And what do? Put it in the bin, process is over. Customer service, excellent. Why? Because we had a system that went all the way through. How easy is that system? Very easy. What are we talking about? Dropping off a shirt to be laundered and pick it up within a couple of days. But how many places have you walked into that they don't treat the customer with value, that they don't greet you when you walk in, that they don't give you all the information you wanted? That's why you need to have a process so that the customer can walk away and say, wow, I got excellent service there. I'm going to bring my shirt to you next week, even if it's a little bit more expensive. Why? Because I know it's going to be the way I want it. Okay. So I took this to a very, very simple business. Well, I think it's simple. Okay. But it could be any sort of business. But the thing is, you need to train your people. You need to have a process. So I recommend whatever kind of business you in, have a process map where one process cascades to the next and the next and the next and the next, and what I'm calling sub-processes. Now, not everything is linear. Linear meaning this is a straight line. In this case, what you're seeing here is, hey, wait a moment. Something goes in one place and then there's two decisions to be made. It's going to be complicated depending on the complication of the business, okay? I'm sure in this laundry point, the moment the thing's put in the bag, that process continues, right? It's got to be taken out and it's got to be separated by color, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's a whole process until the thing's finally completed, all right? And there could be different things happening at the same time, like ordering detergent, like making sure all kinds of different activities to be able to satisfy the customer and make sure the processes are good. Why do you want to do a process map? And this is so, so important. You want to do a process map because you want to find out where are the redundancies? Where are activities going on that are not very important? They don't add value. When I say value, it doesn't mean I'm going to get more money. It could also mean, am I giving the customer the satisfaction that they want, the experience that they want, okay? The other thing we want to see, where are the failure points? Where are the backlogs? Where's the queues that things have to line up, the bottlenecks? Okay, everybody wants their shirt ironed, but I only got one person doing the ironing. Well, I need to get a second one, or whatever the case may be. We have to see. We have to see, how do we get a recovery process? Oh, the shirt got torn. Now what do we do? Do we just, you know, iron it, put it in a bag, and have the customer go away and hope they don't notice it until 2 weeks from now? That's not too cool. Okay, so why do we want to have a good process map? We want to see what are our fail-safe attitudes, where are the different possible things. Okay, now when we're talking about the processes, that's only part of being able to have the whole culture of the company going forward. And you may recall when we started, actually, I think it was in our fourth webinar, we talked about this guy called Bert Nanus, and he said there's no stronger force to propel an organization towards excellent and long-lasting success than the vision of the future that is attractive, valuable, and achievable and shared by all. When I use the word all, it means all. If you look at the Publix ads that they're putting right now on the TV, they're showing the truck drivers, the people putting in how important they are, blah, 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 blah. How nice. Are they all important? Sure they are. What's the vision? What are we trying to achieve? If you have a small store, like in this case that we talked about, somebody with just a, cleaning and laundry business, the same thing. What are we trying to achieve? What is our vision? What is our mission? Okay. And it has to be what we want. We want them to be part of our team, because if they're on board with our vision and mission, and it's part of their vision and their mission, guess what? We've got engagement. Okay. So let's move forward, and we're going to talk about organizational cultures and values. And basically, you have different groups of people. There's always going to be different cultures. And it's surprising. To me, a lot of people talk about big corporations when they do these kind of seminars or webinars. And I always compare Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. Very different companies, same product. I say same product because it's basically a cola with fizz and sugar. All right. But the companies are amazingly different. You can see it in their advertising. Coca-Cola is always la-di-da-di-da, we're so nice and lovely, and they're Southern boys, they're from Atlanta, and they're good grandparents. Pepsi is, yeah, 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 Pepsi's the greatest, Pepsi Challenge, yeah, 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 yeah. The two products are very similar. I don't want to say identical because some people may think I'm being rude. So what makes them different? Well, the real question we have is how are we going to be able to implement our mission? Why do I even exist? What is my goal? Your mission cannot be, I just want to wash clothes. Your mission has to be, I want to be the premier, I don't know, laundry service in South Miami that people are going to come to us because we give the very best stuff and our shirts smell nice and blah, blah, whatever. Okay? So, but we need to communicate and train what we want with our employees. They have to understand. And we have to have very clear strategies, which means how are we going to be able to achieve our objectives? It's not the plan per se, it's the strategies. Is it going to be social media? Is it just going to be people walking down the street? Is it just going to be fantastic customer service? Whatever our strategy may be. And then we need incentive plans to align our employees with our mission. Because my mission may be, and my vision may be, I want to be the richest guy in South Florida. Cool. Is that engaging to my employees? No. Where are we aligned, me and my employees? And how do I incentivize them so that they're aligned with my mission and my plan? We don't want the guy to just say, don't ask me, I just work here. Or they're just waiting, oh, time's gone, time to go. You know, you hear it a lot. Don't ask me, I just work here. We need to talk about a cultural change. We need to have employees that are fully engaged in our vision, our mission, our company. If they're not engaged and they're here today, they're gone tomorrow, okay? So we'll have to see what's going to happen. Okay, how is the sound going out there? I got to notice that the sound is going well. Is it coming out okay? Yeah, I heard over here, double check. Okay, well, I thought it was okay. Then if we have a company ongoing, we have to see how do we change our systems? How do we change our management? How do we change our programs? Okay, it's basically called change management. So as a manager of a business, we have to see how do we deal with these sort of problems. Manager, owner, okay? So the real question is, who's going to execute and lead the implementation of the strategies to achieve the vision and mission? You know, what do I want to achieve in the future? Why do I even exist today? And why, who's going to lead it and why are they going to lead it? Well, the person who's going to lead is you. Okay? Now here we got organizational culture. It's the heart of the company. That heart is pounding away, beating away, right? What is organizational culture? Okay, organizational culture is a set of shared, taken for granted, implicit assumptions. Nobody tells you what it is. We just know that's how we are. That a group holds and that determines how that group is perceived, how they think about things, and how they react to different environments. That's according to Edgar Schein. Okay, now today with this tremendous collapse in the market, 22 million people unemployed, and I got to tell you, there are tons more because here in Florida, if you try and get on the unemployment, on a website, forget that. And then you got Hialeah and everybody else handing out, even libraries are lined up handing out paper applications to collect unemployment. Then you take it home, you fill it out, fold it, put it in an envelope, go to the post office, put a stamp, it gets mailed to Tallahassee. Somebody's got to open it. They take them all out, thousands and thousands of them. And guess what? Somebody's got to input that data. Do you think that's instantaneous? No. There are tons of people who still haven't filed for unemployment, even though they're unemployed. How are you treating your employees right now? What kind of liaison is there? Even if you can't fully pay them, how are you dealing with them? Okay? How are we feeling as a group? That's just very, very important as we go forward. And the way you treat your employees today is going to impact you tomorrow. Okay? So when we talk about organizational culture, there's certain things we're going to have. First of all, there's shared assumptions. These are things that we believe as a group. If we're working as a restaurant, we believe this is a fun restaurant. There's going to be music. I'm going to be singing happy birthday. The food's delicious. whatever the case may be, okay? Or it's just takeaway. What are the cultural values? Meaning, what do we think is important? You know who's going to determine those values that are really important? You, you, the owner, the top manager, the head of the waiters. You are going to determine what are the cultural values that are there for all of us to work. How do our shared behaviors? How do we react when a waiter drops a glass on the floor? Do we help him? Do we boo at him? Do we laugh? Do we criticize him? Do we deduct the glass from his pay? How do we deal with this? These are shared behaviors. Every company is going to be different. Okay. And what are the symbols? What kind of symbols could there be? Where do you park? Have you ever noticed the employee of the month gets a good parking place? Is that a symbol? Sure. Are there buttons and medals? Napoleon used to say, if he had more medals, he would have been able to make it to Moscow easier. Just put a bunch of medals on people. Congratulate them. Put them medals. Are there symbols? Are symbols important? Yes, they are. The leader has symbols. The followers have symbols. The followers may become leaders. What are the symbols to that? The head waiter, whatever the case may be. Okay, so the symbols are very important within your culture. Okay, so let's talk about what makes a culture. What are the components of that culture? And there are four basic boxes I'm going to be bringing up right now. I'm sorry, the four areas we're going to bring up. The routines, how do we communicate? We have morning meetings. I tell the people, here's the plan for the day. What are the norms that are shared by all of us? What are the values? Is it really trust? Is it really quality? Is it really service? What are the deep values that as an organization we think are very important? When you go here to Baptist Hospital, how are you treated when you come in? There's a whole series of people that are going to address you as you come in until you finally get to see your doctor 8 people later. I'm exaggerating, of course. But what are the values that they have? Now, what is the philosophy of management's policy? You as the owner, you as the key manager, what is the guiding philosophy behind your policies and your decision making? And what are the rules of the game and the climate? Okay. So how does culture emerge? And these are the four boxes I meant to show earlier. First of all, culture starts at the top. It's through example. Okay. So top management, even as a small organization, my wife and I, we have to agree on the shared assumptions of what we accept, what's acceptable, how we believe. We have to have a shared vision of what we want going forward. Your two owners, we talked about different corporate different company structures earlier. One of them is partnership. You and I were partners. Do we have a shared vision? Do we have similar cultural values? That's very important because if we both have a shared vision as to where we want to go, we have a shared concept of what our mission is, and we have shared values, then we're in agreement. And once we're in agreement, we have one line of communication, one philosophy alone. So the behaviors, employees are going to behave in manners that are consistent with our, as managers, owners of a company, our shared values and assistance. So if management's not in agreement, one guy's going to be soft, one guy's going to be tough, one guy's going to think this is better, another person's, it doesn't really matter. That's not a united front. That's not a united leadership. If we have a united leadership, then the behavior will be consistent. Okay? Absolutely consistent. We talk about results. Let me go back on behavior. Do you remember that captain who was of the aircraft carrier? Okay, they dismissed him, whatever reason. And then there was somebody, I think it was an assistant secretary of the Navy, whatever. He said some very derogatory things about that captain. Stupid things. He insulted him, this, that, the other. The guy's been a captain of an aircraft carrier. I mean, we're not talking about, it's almost a village, bigger than a village. It's a little city, 6,000 people on that boat. Okay? Airplanes and bombs and who knows what else he's got on there. That guy has an IQ a little bit better than a rabbit. Would you agree with me? And so the Secretary of the Navy or Assistant Secretary of the Navy insulted him publicly. Well, what happened? That guy was gone. But it shows you in a certain way, we have an issue, top management, the values, what we really think was important, okay? And the behavior was not consistent between what the captain of that ship and the assistant, the whatever he was, I think it was Secretary of Navy, Assistant Secretary of Navy. How do you think that makes the employees feel? These are people who protect you and me against the evil powers that want to hurt this country. And we want those sailors, those soldiers, those Marines, the Coast Guard, we want them protecting us, okay? Because at the end of the day, the U.S. has few enemies, okay? So when we take the top management, we take the behaviors of our employees, that's going to impact our financial performance. That's going to impact our results, okay? So we got to move along. So we got the cultures. Culture is going to come out of that. If it's all consistent, we're going to have a strong culture, traditions are maintained, and off we go forward. Okay, so how do employees learn culture? Sorry, I went too far, too quick. They learn culture through the stories that they hear, what's going on, the rituals in the company. How do you hire somebody? How do you integrate them into your business? What are the symbols, salary increases, bonuses, vacation pay? What kind of language should we use in our company? Have you ever heard of managers not using the most appropriate language at the most appropriate times or inappropriate times? How do you think employees learn from that kind of behavior? I'm going to skip over this chart because time is going by much slower than I thought. So within an organization, do we have uniform cultures? We don't. We have a dominant culture and we have core values. Core values are by the owners, the creators of the company. Colonel Sanders is long gone. His company's been sold from one to the other. But the core value that he had is still there, even though man's he's sold his business and he didn't even live anymore, for crying out loud. So you got core values that will impact the dominant culture, but you're going to have subcultures. Why? Every single Kentucky chicken, did I say McDonald's? Kentucky chicken, Colonel Sanders. Okay, every single Colonel Sanders, KFC, has a different manager. Will there be a subculture? I think there will, okay? So when we talk about culture, we have to see there's a tool that I happen to really love. It's called the Denison Culture Model. It's a model that you can buy, and basically, I don't sell it. And basically gives you a baseline of your cultural strengths and weaknesses, and lets you compare your company to over 1,000 other companies out there, big, small, whatever. And it tells you what is the shared understanding, the shared language, the shared expectations of your culture, and the implication it has to the individual employee and the group's results. Results is what? Sales and earnings, okay? And it lets us look at culture from a business perspective, behavioral. It's tangible. Tangible, you can't totally feel it, but you can feel it in the bottom line, okay? So this is kind of what his chart looks like. And I know there's a lot of numbers on this, all right, different colors. And basically it tells you that you have different areas that are important. Is the company consistent? Are employees involved in the decision-making process? That's an internal factor, as you see here. The consistency in the mission and the vision are going to impact profitability. Adaptability, meaning are we adaptable to the outside market? Are we adaptable to the company, to the consumers? So if we're adaptable and our mission is good, we're going to have sure growth. And then we certainly need a certain amount of flexibility, which is going to tell us about our innovation, okay? You go to McDonald's today, you can buy in this big screen, just press a button. Is it good, bad? I don't know. Okay, but what they do there is every one of these are little attributes. And when you're fully filled up, when you do your research, you get the research. If you have all the lines up to the top, it means you're at the level of everybody. If you're at the bottom, you're at a lower level. And I'll show you what I mean as we go forward, okay? Let me show you what's included in here, okay? On the mission side, it's the strategic direction, the goals, the objectives, the vision. Do our employees understand that? If they don't, they really don't know why they're working there other than, don't ask me, I just work here, right? They're not involved. They don't care. They're not engaged, okay? Consistency. What are the core values? Is the management in agreement with what they want to do? What is the coordination integration? Are things consistent? It makes sense. Moving over to the next area is called involvement. Do we empower employees to make a decision? Some employees have no authority to do anything. If I'm a waiter in a restaurant and the food's no good, if I didn't like it, I have to say, I'm sorry, sir, take it away. It's for free. Bring you something else. Do you let people do that? You're not? I don't know. Okay. Team orientation. Are we working as a team? I think so. From the person who greets the visitor, to the restaurant, to the cook, to the busboy, to the waiter, to the head waiter, to the hostess, the bartender. How are we working together, and how are we developing our capabilities? Are we investing? And then ultimately, over here, adaptability. Are we accepting change? Are we looking at the customer first, the customer focus? And are we as an organization learning? So these are the things that they ask. And this is the exact same chart, just a little bit bigger, but you can see the reason why it's filled up, because theoretically, if you're at 100% means you're really doing really well. Okay, cool. So let's look at a practical example. This is a company I studied. There was 764 people within that company. And what was very clear from this chart is everybody understood very well what was the mission of the company. And if you can see there, it says 83, that number 83 in the very top of that chart that goes all the way out the end, out here. That 83 means this company was doing better than 83% of the companies of all the group that Dennison has done the research. Not as well as 100%, but that's quite good. On the other hand, if you look over here where it says the word customer, let me see if I can get this cursor down here a little bit better, okay? See, it says customer focus, it's at 26%. So what they're saying basically is, yeah, we know what our mission is, but we're really not addressing what the customer wants. Interesting. So basically, this is what the company is doing, and you can clearly see what people believe and don't believe of the 746 employees, okay? So you can clearly see everybody understands what the goals, the organization, strategic direction, kind of doesn't make sense. Why? Because we're not addressing the customer, the client, okay? So you can see there's different things going on. The colors are just colors by area. Don't worry about the colors. It's how far are they filled in, all right? Now let me show you what happens when you change a manager within a division, okay? On the left, this is the sales department. There were 59 people that were researched at the time. This is what the sales department, the same company, what the sales department thought. If you notice, it's full everywhere except in the area customer focus. That company, employees thought it really great, but they say, you know what, we're still not giving the clients what they want. Okay? But everything else looks really good. I mean, look at the vision is 90%, the 90 percentile. Over here, core values. This is amazing. 97. It means 90, they're better than 97% of the companies that were ever researched. That's amazing. So everybody understood the core values that we appreciate in our company. A new manager came in, and look at what happened in 1 year. Just have a look at this. What happened? Look over here in the area of change. Do they accept change? Oh, well, they went from 74 down to 20. Product, well, okay, we know that was no good. The whole strategic area, do they understand our strategic mission, our core values, our vision? No. Everybody said, wait, we don't understand what the hell's going on in this company. Wow, is that important to know? You better believe it's important to know. You need to know what your employees think, because if they're engaged, they're part of your team. If they're not engaged, they're just there. Don't ask me, I just work here. They're just there for their 10 bucks an hour, 12 bucks an hour, 15, whatever they make. They don't really care. They don't care. They're not going to be engaged. You're not going to get the results. So what Dennison model has proven, this is an extremely strong link between culture within the company and the performance of the company. And the managers, one manager, or within a company, you change a manager in one division, they have a strong influence over the change process. And there's even a stronger link between how a manager's action, his behavior, what he does, and the culture, as you just saw before in that sales department. They changed managers, and look at the collapse. Did that impact the volume and earnings and sales? You better believe it, okay? So I want to refer you to some books on this. One is Culture and Family-Owned Enterprises by Daniel Dennison. If you want to find out a little bit more about this, we're talking about smaller companies, okay, family-owned companies. The model, I adapted it from his research. And he has something called 5 conditions for High Performance Cultures by Matthew. I can never pronounce that last name, but if you can see it, Jeuch, that would be Jupiter, something like that. I have no idea. Anyway, he has a very good book on that. I mean, I've read his book, but I can never pronounce his name. Okay, his reference books. If you want to find them, I think they're very good. They're worthwhile. Now, our next webinar is going to be about college funding plan, something totally out of left field, something else. Saving today for a brighter future tomorrow. So you got a newborn kid. If you have little kids, this is very important to you. If you have grandchildren, this is very important to you. If you have friends who have children, you happen to love their children, you're a grandparent, whatever, this is very important for them. Why? Because look at what's happening in the economy today. I feel so sorry for kids who are going to be starting school in September when you have 22 million people unemployed at this moment in time and untold hundreds of thousands of companies that don't know if they're going to be around. Okay. I just heard this morning that the Paycheck Protection Plan, it's gone. The $325 billion that was allocated has already been given out. There are 30 million small businesses in the United States. There was not enough money for every small business. Are they going to get more money? It's up to Mnuchin and Pelosi. I have no idea. I hope they do. Okay, so I want to thank you for attending this webinar. Our next webinar on the college planning, it's going to be on Tuesday, April 20th. Oh my God, it's my mother's birthday. Anyway, so please remember, start time is at 4 p.m. This webinar that I just got through finalizing, I'm going to upload it. If I can, I'll put it on tonight, but I never know because I don't control how the systems work. If you have any questions, you can email me at rbull.miamirotary@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook. You just look at rbull, or you can go to facebook.com/Vespa Financial with a capital F. That's my Facebook page. And I have a YouTube channel. You can look at the word Vespa. It's going to be hard to find me because there's a million Vespas. But I also have a short URL, which is shorturl.at/B, little b, capital DGMT. And you got it there. So I want to thank you for assisting this webinar, being here, assisting with me in Spanish, but for being part of this webinar. I had a good time presenting it to you, and I hope that you got a lot out of it. So I'm going to now try and get out of this thing. It's not get out. Let me see what's happening here. Oh my gosh. Well, somehow you guys can go if you want because I can't get this thing to close down. Isn't that lovely? How do I get this to close down? It's just not closing down. Well, it's not responding to me. Well, what I'll just do is just simply